informando indirettamente
guardi,
il fatto che
allora, lei non sa assolutamente niente, allora tutto quello che hanno detto i genitori lei non sa assolutamente
io so le cose,
allora abbiamo finito di
io so le cose,
andiamo alla procura.
io le so le cose.
Mica veniamo qua a prendere in giro da lei, ma
io non la sto provocando.
No, assolutamente. A questo punto andiamo in procura.
Two years ago, we moved to Formigine. It's a small town near Modena in northern Italy. We got here just in time to get our son Adrian signed up for school. Everything seemed to be going fine for about the first week. Shortly after that, Adrian came home and he was having problems with a couple of kids in school. He kept coming home with bruises. And we did get a hold of the teachers and they gave us an appointment to come in and talk to them. At that time, they let us know that they had a couple of troubled kids in their class. And they shoved off all of the behavioral problems on the fact that the parents from these kids were of a low social class. That's what they said, low social class. So even though the teachers did not accept any kind of responsibility for what was happening in the school, they assured us that they would keep some sort of an eye on the situation. That didn't happen. In the following months, it was pretty obvious to us that the teachers don't pay attention. There was even a problem. They had a couple of kids in the class who were touching each other's privates. The teacher was present at the time, but not paying attention. Apparently, there was this big meeting where all of the parents were called in. It was explained to them what had happened. The teacher said at that time, as we understood it, that it was not a big deal. Nothing happened. Nothing happened, no big deal. Adrian continued to come home with bruises, and he often reported problems with a club. Our understanding of this club is that it's about 5 boys. One of them is the leader, and the others are all the followers. And in order for those followers to remain in the club, they have to do exactly what they're told. For 2 full years, Adrian's had to deal with these boys in the club, either one or more of them, bullying him on a daily basis, calling him names, shoving him around, giving him bruises. It got to the point that he didn't want to go to school anymore. Last year, just before summer, it was obvious that Adrian was not coping well with the situation. He had trouble sleeping, he was extremely moody, he was often reporting to me that he was feeling stressed out and overwhelmed. He was having dreams about fighting, and he kept wanting to learn self-defense moves, and he would practice these moves as often as he possibly could. The last straw for us was that he came home and had problems with the leader himself, and it had gotten physical. Apparently he was out playing, had a stick in the yard out there. The boys surrounded him. The kid had grabbed him by his shirt, was ready to punch him in the face, and had threatened to kill him. And one of the kids distracted the others. Adrian took off. He got away. He reported this to us. He told us this, and we got a hold of the teachers. And of course, they saw Adrian out in the playground playing with the stick. They did not see anything else. They said that it was impossible that the leader of this group could have even been there because he was on a punishment bench and he wasn't allowed to play. They didn't believe it happened at all. And they said that they had other teachers that were in the yard as witnesses. Teachers protecting each other is something that we had already seen happen, so we were aware of that problem, and we weren't going to let them get away with that. So we went through 2 years worth of student diaries, all of the emailed correspondence back and forth between us and the teachers, and we made a timeline of everything that had happened, and it clearly showed a pattern of bullying going on and how it was escalating. We emailed the teachers again with our timeline that we had made up, and when they got that email, they said, they took it, they stood in front of the class, and they had Adrian and they had the leader of this group listen to what we had written. And they asked Adrian if that was all true, and he said yes. And they agreed that it was bullying and that they were going to have to report it to the director. So then they tell Adrian to tell us that they will report this to the director immediately. And then they asked Adrian what or how much he tells us at home. Of course, Adrian says, I tell my parents everything. One of the teachers got really snotty with him and in a mean way told him in front of all of his classmates that if he didn't like it there, that he could change classes. Did he want to change classes? You know, that's how she was talking to him. And of course, you know, he was like humiliated at that point because all the kids in the class were just staring at him. And he didn't want to change classes. He had a couple good friends there and he actually liked the teachers. He comes home and he tells us what had happened that day at school. And, you know, immediately he comes out of school telling me, don't worry, Mom, the teachers are going to let the director know about everything, about the email that you wrote. So, you know, we get him home, we get the full story, and then we're like, wait a minute, this is not right. So we wrote the director ourselves and we informed him about what was going on with the bullying situation. And not only did we inform him about the bullying, we told him that the teacher like humiliated Adrian, you know, put him on the spot in front of his entire class, and that the way she did that was not correct. And we also said that we were thinking at this point, by now it's obvious that I think we need a lawyer. He wound up getting back to us the next day, and he said that he was not informed of any of this. He had no knowledge of what was going on. That was the first he'd heard of it, and that he would get with the teachers immediately. I don't know if the teachers were spoken to by the director. There's been like no communication with us at all as far as to what happened. But what I do know is that Adrian has a good grade point average. He's getting 8s. 10 is the best here. So that would be an A. An 8 is like a B average. He's got a B average. He has no trouble getting the work done. He does have trouble getting it done in class. He says it's way too loud. It's like chaos in there. It's like a circus. I mean, these are his words that he's told us. It's like a circus in there. The kids are loud. There's no control going on. The teachers are constantly screaming at the kids. Okay, they slam the door and they slam it so hard, you know, and this is trying to get quiet in the classroom. There's door slamming and one of them has a whistle, you know, like a PE whistle. So they're blowing whistles, they're screaming, they're slamming the doors. And apparently they're slamming the doors pretty hard because the doorknobs have to be replaced because they get broken. They have no control. No control over the kids. They don't pay attention to what's going on. They just kind of sit up there in the front and they try to work out their plan and do their paper grading. Summer vacation rolled around. We noticed quite quickly with Adrian out of school how much better he seemed to be doing. We did a lot of family stuff. We had a lot of, you know, week vacations where we were gone. And we made sure that he had a lot of fun and good experiences. We still have no idea what went on between the teachers and the director. We don't know if anything was really resolved in that area because we've heard nothing. Because of all this bullying going on, by the end of the school year, Adrian was having so many problems, as I said, and we thought, well, perhaps we need to get him a psychologist, take him to talk to somebody about it. So we did, and she agreed. He did have some issues going on. As she talked to him, I could tell that he started to feel a little bit better about the situation. So the second week of school, I'm picking him up and I notice that he comes out of school and he's limping. And I get him home and I look in the diary. You know, I asked him, how was his day? Fine. You know, I get in his diary and here's a note from the teacher saying that he was injured in recess and that they put ice on it. So I asked him, Adrian, you were injured in school? Yeah. I'm fine. Okay. So we ask for more clarification. You know, obviously we're beyond the point now with these teachers that we can just have this little note in the thing. We would like some information, who was there, what happened. We got nothing. We decided, okay, we're gonna put his leg up, see how it goes. Well, the first thing we notice is that they say it was his knee that was injured. He told me it wasn't my knee. It was my ankle. And they put ice on the wrong spot. Okay, so then I'm getting the story from him. Apparently, he was running because it was the end of recess, and he felt this pop and a lot of pain, and he couldn't put weight on it, and so he managed to hop himself over to a wall, and he was leaning there. He could see his two friends were running, and so he called out to one of them, and he said, "You need to get the teacher." Teacher was already inside. So those kids go inside to get the teacher, and while Adrian is outside, he's upset, of course. He's injured, he's in pain, he's crying, he can't walk, and he was out there for more than 10 minutes. When she finally came, it was like 10 minutes later. She comes out, she finds him hugging the wall, and she has to literally bring him in because he can't walk. She puts ice on his knee. That is not what he said. "My ankle is injured." Okay, she puts ice on his knee, and she leaves him downstairs here in the entrance with the caretakers of the school, who were busy doing their job. Somebody brings him his books, and they expect him to work down there injured. So, at no time did we receive a call saying, "Hey, we have your kid here, he can't walk, he's injured, come and get him." Nobody called us. You know, I come later, I pick him up, and I see this little note from the teacher. So nobody told us anything about how it happened. You know, we got Adrian's side of the story, we just figured we'd try and get the rest of the story. One of the caretakers did tell us that Adrian was at the desk with him, that he had sat there and done his work for 45 minutes. When they finally decided to get him back to class, they had to take him up in the elevator because he couldn't walk still, okay? During the next few days, we noticed that Adrian's limping was not getting any better. It finally got to a point one day where he could not walk on it again. And at that point, we said, okay, we know that there must be something wrong with it. And we took him to the hospital and got an x-ray. Turned out he has a serious injury. He came out in a cast. He has a detached piece of cartilage in his ankle. So now he has a cast on his leg, he's got a wheelchair, and he has crutches. We needed answers, and because there was nobody at the school who seemed to be willing to talk to us about it, we decided we were going to get a lawyer. We did take the paperwork from the hospital, and we got an insurance case opened up, but that's not enough. We want to know what happened. So, we still have no feedback as to what happened previously regarding the bullying. We have no answers as to what happened here at the school and why nobody called us. And that kind of makes it obvious to us that these teachers really are not paying attention. Still not paying attention to what's going on with the kids. They probably don't even have any idea what happened to him out there. They don't know, so they can't write us anything. So it made it quite obvious to us that they had absolutely no excuse for leaving him out on the playground, alone, injured, crying, for over 10 minutes. And I don't even know how that can happen, because in other schools that I have seen, a school where I went, schools where my husband went, if the kids are out playing, the teacher is the last person through the door. After all the kids go in, the teacher goes in. And that way they're all accounted for. It's quite obvious to us that the teachers really don't have an interest to actually pay attention to what's going on. In fact, last week, Adrian told us that the kids all got punished and were not allowed to go out for the first break, which is 40 minutes long. They were all supposed to sit in their chairs, not moving. Where did the teacher go? The teacher left the classroom. All of the kids were sitting there. Nobody was in there. They had absolutely no adult supervision for 40 minutes. We have repeatedly asked for some sort of statement. It was like the school closed. Nobody would even talk to us about anything. What we did get was an invitation to come and talk to the teachers and the director to redefine the rules of co-responsibility with the school. At that point, we said, okay, for sure, we are taking a lawyer with us to this appointment. And so we contacted one. And he was really quite shocked at all of the documentation that we provided him of everything that's been going on through here. And he was very happy to say, yes, I will come with you to this meeting. I think it'll be pretty interesting. So he wrote the school to let them know that he would be coming. Our day finally rolls around. We get here thinking that the teachers are going to be in this meeting, and what we find is an empty director's office. No teachers present. We waited a few minutes. The director finally comes in, and when he comes in, he's angry. I mean, just like super angry. He's not being angry with us. He's angry at this lawyer for being there. Starts questioning him, wants to see his license, and I mean, it was quite ridiculous what he was putting this lawyer through. We even had to show him the paperwork that says that we hired him. You know, this paperwork that we sign saying you're hired. There was no point to this meeting at all, because within 2 minutes it was quite clear that the director was not going to talk about anything that had recently happened at the school, and managed to say that Adrian's injury was nothing. He didn't know anything about it. He didn't want to talk about it at all. And that the teachers were not present because it was quite possible that they could say something in front of the lawyer that would get them in trouble. So, because the teachers might get themselves in trouble, they were not allowed to be in the meeting. So, needless to say, within 5 minutes that meeting was over, and we were walking out of there. The lawyer had finally had enough. The lawyer lost it, and he said, I don't know how you can say nothing happened here. This boy has a cast on his leg. It's obvious. We're going to court. And he stood up and he said, let's go. So, as we both stood up, the director was practically begging us all to sit down. And my husband said, I'm sorry. We came here to work out a few problems, but there's no teachers here. How can we work anything out if there's no teachers here? That's it. We left. And that's where we are now. At the beginning of a lawsuit with the school. Our lawyer is filing paperwork this week. And that is going to lead to like a total investigation of probably the teachers, the director, I don't know, maybe everybody that had contact with Adrian at this point. And it's like a long process. But I'll keep you up to date with what happens. Wish us luck.